you explain to us just how successful of a drug dealer he was?
I probably can't overstate it. It's you're talking about the dude was 24, 25 years old, right? He had a very efficient structure in place, but no matter how efficient you are, it could run. It's just all it takes is one arrest for the DA. But if not for that, let's say Yayo on a scale of 1 to 10, he's definitely a 10.
Well, from what I heard and research is that there was at one point he was making at least $30 million a year.
Unbelievable. $30 million in 1986, 87.
How long was his run?
He was only on the top 2 years.
2 years and
That's it.
I mean, you make $30 million.
That's what I mean, is that he funneled. By the time he went back to DR, he had funneled already as much, they estimate $20 million to DR. And what's interesting about this guy is why he's such a genius is that he owned a wire storefront in Washington Heights, and then he wired the money to DR. But
from his own company.
From his own company to his own company in DR. He owned them both.
Wow.
Right? Talk about planning, right? Mm-hmm. So Who's gonna what IRS? Who's gonna keep their eye on my? I'm sending my own money to myself.
Yeah. He eventually got arrested in Dominican Republic. Why was he arrested in the Dominican Republic?
So what's interesting is that, again, some people have brought up more information about that, brought some more details to light for me. He was involved in a shootout in a nightclub in Santiago, and Yayo got shot in the leg, and all it ever says is that Yayo, the other man was shot. He was shot in the leg, and I couldn't find out what happened to the other man, so on and so forth. I tried to go on Dominican newspapers, and their archives only go back so far, and so on. So, what I was told was that. It was over his present wife, who he's still married to.
Interesting.
Her name is, it's in the newspaper somewhere, but he apparently shot, it was another gangster from Santiago. Someone mentioned his name. I want to say it's Victor something. So he got into an argument over that woman, and it was a shootout, and he was taken straight to jail. He wasn't even given a trial. He was taken straight to La Victoria prison in Santo Domingo, the biggest prison in DR.
He wasn't tried?
No, not even tried. Taken right to prison.
What was he sentenced to?
I want to say probably assault, gun possession. I don't know.
No, but what was his sentence? A year, 2 years, 5 years?
It doesn't say, but he did wind up doing about 4 years.
4 years?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. And allegedly he was very comfortable in this jail. He had a TV, had a cell phone, was ordering food from outside.
That was in the second prison. In the first prison, he went to La Victoria, which was a hellhole. Right?
Yeah.
Everyone's on top of each other. Crowds of people, inhumane conditions, wet, toxic air all over the place. And then he got into some fights there and was transferred to the Monte Plata prison. I'm not sure exactly where that is, but
it's like in the northern part of Dominican Republic.
Oh, okay, there you go. So he was sentenced there, and there his time was comfortable. He had a cell phone. He was ordering takeout from restaurants. He was, I think he had a TV in his cell.
Yeah, that's from our research. That's what it said. Yeah, that's pretty interesting.
So he, you could pay a guard. You could really, money goes a lot further with guards in DR than it will in the U.S.
Oh, for sure. I mean? So, out there,
it's just a different dynamic.
Yeah, speaking about prison guards, he stopped a female prison guard from getting raped.
Yeah.
And because he did that, he got his mattress lit on fire in prison.
Well, I mean, intervening to prevent a rape, and then they want to get you back for that that shows the kind of people that were in that prison, right?
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
But that also probably shows the integrity. He's known as Yayo was known as a gentleman gangster.
Okay.
If there's such a thing. It's sort of an irony, right?
He only ordered 6 murders.
It's to the point when you call someone a gentleman gangster, it's like you only kill people who need to be killed. Everyone else, I treat with respect.
Yeah.
Gentleman, it's an irony, but that's what he was known as, and I guess his morals were skewed for his business sake. But outside of that, it's not right to rape a woman.
No, in no circumstances.
In no circumstances, and he stood by that. So,
he owned at one point El Gran Almirante
Absolutely.
in Santiago. Does he still own that?
He does not. It's now owned by like a conglomerate. I can't remember the name, but they own a lot of hotels in DR.
Yeah.
It's sort of like an entity. It's an entity. I can't remember.
It's like a group.
It's a group. I can't remember the name of it. But they own that. Now they own that. I'm not sure when he sold it. But
I was going to ask, do you know how much he sold it for?
I can't even imagine the guy's net worth in DR right now.
Well, what's crazy is I actually been in that hotel many times.
Really?
They have a casino there in Santiago. My aunt lives a good 5-minute drive from there.
Are you from Santiago?
I'm from New York, but my father
my
father is from Santiago.
Oh, okay.
So when I go to Dominican Republic, I usually stay in Santiago. And where my aunt lives is usually, which is 90% of the times, that's where I stay. That's a 5-minute drive from a Gran Almirante. So I drive there all the time. There's a casino there.
Wow.
Yeah.
You had no idea.
No idea that, a former drug dealer was the one who, I'm assuming he erected it. Like he's the one who.
Everything.
Yeah.
The guy was a mogul. To put it lightly, he was a big time mogul. And you ask yourself, he probably could have done this without the drug money, but the drug money helped him do it. So,
He owned also beachfront condos and farms.
I didn't even go into the half that I found out. I mentioned...
Let's go into it now. We got some time.
Unbelievable. The real estate holdings, first of all. So I mentioned in the video that he had beachfront condos, but he had the 2 hotels that I mentioned. He had beachfront condos. He had the banana factory I mentioned, right? Mm-hmm. He had a clothing factory. He had a finance company, which was outside of the wire company. He had another finance company.
Well, to help people make investments.
I guess it was for doing taxes and stuff like that.
I got you.
I couldn't find the exact name, but that's what the source said. Mm-hmm. What else did he have? He had obviously he had the Gran Almirante Casino and what was the other holdings? He had several more, but he had he didn't just have the beachfront condos. He had buildings, right? He had a commercial building on top of the right, which is obviously a big deal when you have a commercial building, millions and millions of dollars right there. There's so many things. I'm a little jumbled right now, but there was 5 or 6 more things I didn't mention in the video that I found that he owned.
It's insane.
Yeah.
It's insane. What would you, if you had to guess right now, what would you say his net worth is?
Oof. Oh man. American dollars?
Yeah, American dollars.
The guy might be upwards. He literally might be 70. He might be 75 million or something like that.
75 million? I was expecting you to say 10.
No.
75 million.
He might be worth that much, because you know why? Is because so much of that money is invested in so many different things.
I got you.
Right?
So his portfolio is so diverse.
Right.
He's never losing.
Net worth is like what Chris Rock said. There's rich and there's wealth, right?
Yeah.
Rich, you could blow a weekend in Vegas. He's wealthy. With all his holdings, his net worth is probably around 75 million at least.
Wow.
He also, I heard something. He owned. He might have owned a hospital at one point. You know what I mean? The guy is the real deal. The real deal.
It sounds like it. It is.
And he doesn't even show, even with all the stuff he owned. How about all the other little things he probably invested in that weren't properties? He could have invested in anything else.
Is he a flashy guy in the Dominican Republic now?
Not at all.
No,
not at all.
Drives a Toyota or something?
So I wouldn't go that far. He was initially, from the stories I'm told he was a little flashy. He was
in New York. In New York.
No, in DR.
Oh, right.
You know, it's like, what good is all this money I have if I can't even drive around in a $100,000 Benz? You know what I mean? But now what he does, he's a fitness freak. He runs marathons.
Okay.
All the time he's running marathons. He does boxing training still.
Oh, Dominican boxing right there.
Man, I got videos of him jump roping.
Okay.
I got videos of him shadow boxing. I was told he contributes to orphanages still. He contributes to burn centers, right? He's a benefactor. He's done a lot to trying to erase his old ways, and he's completely disconnected. He doesn't want any association with it. He would never do an interview about his old life ever.
I mean, let's not throw that energy out there, man. I do interviews, baby. Yo, hey, Yayo, mi
I'll try my
hermano,
best.
mi hermano. Tú y yo tenemos que hacer una entrevista un día. One day we got to do an interview, my brother. And I think your story is important to be told. And I honestly, I think he's the greatest drug dealer of all time.
Well, he's the greatest known drug dealer of all time, right?
Sure.
The greatest drug dealer of all time is probably a guy we never heard of.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, I guess known. I think if you're worth $75 million in the Dominican Republic, which is that 75 million is 10 times what it is over there. And you never did jail. You did 8 months total jail time in America. I don't think there's anybody that can top that in terms of
8 months jail time, 4 years in DR for a non-drug related incident.
That's nothing.
I mean? And you're talking about these investments. He also had 2 nightclubs. He had Ambis Uno and Ambis Dos. You're talking about he had those nightclubs in '88. So think about the valuation of these properties. This is why I guessed 75. You're talking about he had those properties in 88, 89, those beachfront condos in 93, 94.
Yeah,
imagine what it's worth now.
Yeah.
And the casino, right?
That's that's insane to think about how much wealth he has. But in 2015, the extradition law in the Dominican Republic changed.
Yeah.
You can now be, extradited to another country if you committed in another country and are hiding in the Dominican Republic. Why hasn't he been extradited? And you said he was charged for ordering 6 murders. Yeah. And from what I understand, there's no statute of limitations
for murder. No, not at all. Not in the U.S. I have a couple theories about that. That came with some information from individuals that he paid the right people, and that Leonel Fernandez was, in my opinion, was a good leader, but he's also accused of helping out the drug dealers because he was accused of taking bribes and taking payment to not extradite people. And I do believe that Yayo simply paid the people he needed to pay to not be extradited, and he probably got something. He got something in hand, a contract of some sort that said that can't be extradited, and that's why he's showing he's not hiding.
So is he a public figure?
He's out. He's out, man. He's on. If I remember correctly, he's on social media.
Really?
Oh, yeah. He's posting pictures.
Do you have his social media?
I did see it at some point.
Oh, but you don't know
I have to go back and
okay.
I did, snap a screenshot of it. I don't want to put out his, but I did see his page.
Okay.
It's private, but he's out there. He's not hiding. And some people I know that know him said he's not hiding at all. He must really know that there's nothing DR could do to send me back.
I would love to have a conversation with him,
man,
on camera.
You and I both.
I think, and I honestly think that, with you see Narcos and you see all these stories being told about these other drug dealers, I definitely think his story needs to be told on screen. It's an amazing story. I don't want to glorify it because that's not what I'm here to do. But people are into criminal figures. That's why Scarface and Goodfellas are all big.
It's always been that way.
Yeah, so you telling me a guy made $30-something million and got away with it and moved to the Dominican? Yeah.
It doesn't happen. No one gets away with it.
No one gets away with it.
They say there's only 2 ways out: death or prison. But there's actually 3 ways out. There's death, prison, and cooperating.
Yeah.
None of which are good endings. You see what I mean?
Did his team get caught up? Did his team get bagged? Get arrested?
Capo is in DR. He's alive and well in DR. I didn't find that out till afterwards.
But deported or he escaped?
No, he did his time in the U.S. and he was. I would guess he was probably deported.
Okay,
most likely.
All right.
But he's in DR. He's alive and well. He's doing well, as from what I hear. I didn't find that out till after my video because I connected with some people who knew Yayo afterwards, and they gave me updates on these people. But none of them are in bad shape. Let's put it that way.
Okay.
All of them seem to have had, because Capo also invested with Yayo. Back in '88.
Yayo got away, and he got his crew to get away too.
Some of them. His half brothers escaped with him to DR. He had 2 half brothers. His sister, his mother, all escaped with him. Capo was busted 6 months before Yayo was busted.
Okay.
And then he had to do. I want to say he got lucky because he was caught before. I think before they implemented that 150 crack law. So I think he only got like 10 years, and he may have been released in less than that.
Oh, that's so
But then he went in DR. I couldn't find any records of him in the U.S. after his arrest.
Man, that's so interesting, man. I gotta get an interview with Yayo, man.
Maybe one day he'll say, listen.
He will, man. He will. Trust me. I got faith that I can make it happen. I just gotta.
I'm sure you. If anyone could, I'm sure it would be you. But I wish you well, man.
Thank you.
I would love to see that interview.
I'll make it. I'm
smart, very, very smart guy. So.
Listen. You don't make a $30 million operation, whether legal or illegal, and you be a dumb person
at all.
You know what I'm saying? I'm not, again, I just want to clarify, I'm not glorifying.
No, you're not. No.
Yeah. It's just,
I'm not either.
No, you're not.
Right.
Yeah. We're just, this is history. This is
just life.
Yeah.
This is just life. This is what people do. Mm-hmm. People do people do legal things, people do illegal things. And both of them require ambition, smarts, savvy.
Strategy, planning.
Internal fortitude, right? You can't be weak and go into that business.
Yeah,
they'll sniff you out. Mm-hmm. They'll take you out. They sniff weakness. You're out. So that's what's intriguing about this, because there's an entire other world dedicated to. They call it the underworld, right? Mm-hmm. But if you think about it, every area of life has its own world. There's like there's the business world, right? That's people act and do things, and there's the medical world, right?
Yeah.
There's the doctors, and there's infighting between the hospitals. Everything has its own subculture, and this is just one of them. You know. Mm-hmm.